How's it going, everybody? So last week we did top 10 favorite scores of all time. We wanted to kind of continue that tradition and do top 10 directors. Something that I guess we can get a little more in depth about scores. I mean, I did enjoy talking about that, but this, I feel like there's more to say, a little more detail to go into. So, Andrew, since I went first last time, I will give you the pleasure of beginning.
Two things just before we start off. Like we said last time in our last video, the Pixar video we did back in June was one of our most popular videos. It's now number 3 most viewed videos on our channel. So that's why we're doing some of these now where we rank them. And then we put out the scores video and the bombs. So I don't know what you guys like to watch. So we'll try to find your interests. But this is gonna be fun for everybody, I think. It's been a video I always wanted to do.
Yeah, me too.
And second of all, Carter gave me a little gift.
Parting gifts from AMC. I don't work there anymore, so I had to, give him some of the goods he needs in his life.
Yeah, and you get free posters all the time.
Yeah.
And you found this one for me, so I said, "Oh, a poster, cool." And I looked at it, and I'm like, "What?" He gave me this.
That's right.
Right there. Look at it. So. It's glorious. Thank you very much, sir.
You're very welcome. I think that needs to go right. Get that out of there.
Yeah, plaster right there. It's going over there. I was great. Thank you very much. So I'm doing it first. So last time we did honorable mentions. So honorable mentions.
Well, I also got him a War for the Planet of the Apes poster.
He did. He got me a lot of stuff. He gave me free movies during this whole thing. This guy is awesome. So thank you.
But that's the better poster there. I didn't just give him the poop emoji.
No. He gave me a War for the Planet of the Apes, which is like awesome. So yeah. Okay. Top 10 directors. Starting off with the honorable mentions, I have 3. First one is John Hughes. I love my coming of age comedy movies, and I think he does it one of the best. Ferris Bueller to Breakfast Club to writing. I think writing Home Alone as well. Both Home Alone, Home Alone 2 are my favorite Christmas movies.
He basically started the genre.
And he really did. And he mastered it, and he made so many of my favorite comedies. The man is a legend, and he will never be forgotten, John Hughes.
You wouldn't think that, because he's a middle-aged, if you see pictures of him, he's like this, he looks like a dorky middle-aged white man, but he understands, the youth culture, so.
Yeah, he's amazing, he really is, and it's too bad he went away so soon.
And many of his movies still resonate today.
That is true. Second of all, my favorite director working today, meaning as an honorable mention, my favorite one that is working today that's kind of like newer, not like, oh, Steven Spielberg's working today. Well, he is, but he's been working forever, newer, Matt Reeves. I love Matt Reeves. I think he is really underrated and really great. I'm excited for the Batman. How he started the Cloverfield universe, which was, you can say it's J.J. Abrams, but I think he basically started it, to doing the Planet of the Apes movies. I think are really, really fantastic, and I just love his vision of how he does movies, and he makes blockbusters seem like great independent films, if that makes any sense. Like War for the Planet of the Apes is not a blockbuster, it's like a really rich film.
He's got a really solid grasp on the craft.
Exactly, and I love his style, and I just love him right now, so yeah. And then last honorable mention is Guillermo del Toro. I love him. He's crazy. If you've listened to him in an interview, he is one of the coolest directors to listen to.
Oh yeah.
He knows his stuff. And maybe I'm not as big of a fan of his movies. This is one of the weird guys that are on my list. I do like Pan's Labyrinth. I'm more of a fan than most people of Pacific Rim after a rewatch of that movie. But I just love how he talks about films. He knows his stuff, and I do think it's weird that all his movies have to have a monster in it. I do think that's weird.
Even this new one that's supposed to be like super dramatic.
Shape Water,
it has a creature from the Black Lagoon basically in it.
It really does. But I just think, as a filmmaking standpoint, and as I want to be a filmmaker when I grow up, I think listening to him is one of the coolest guys to listen to. So those are my 3 honorable mentions. Now getting on to the top 10. Number 10 is Jon Favreau. This is one of those guys where I really do like his movies. I like the Iron Man movies he did. I like Elf, and I like Chef as the movies I've seen from him, and I like him as an actor as well. But
Jungle Book, that was okay.
I rewatched Jungle Book. I liked it more the second time. He did have a good vision for that movie, and actually I think made it better than the original. But one of my other hobbies that you might not know is I love to cook. That's one of his favorite hobbies too. So this guy does really resonate with me. He loves filmmaking, he loves cooking. That's basically me. So I love his movies and I love who he is. It just makes sense. So I love the man. He seems so nice in person, and I love to meet him. Really, honestly. Number 9 is Brad Bird, one of the kings of Pixar, making The Incredibles.
Oh yeah. What a titan.
Yeah, I was gonna say. And making The Iron Giant, which I think is also a fantastic movie.
Pretty underrated.
Yeah, very underrated. So I think in terms of animation, Brad Bird knows his stuff more than anybody. Very excited for Incredibles 2. If you know me right, I love my animation. I think he does the best.
He also used to work on The Simpsons back in the day.
I know. He's diced around so many different not genres, but different animation platforms.
Yes.
All different companies. Yeah, he's done animation TV, animation 2D, and animation 3D.
I love the guy, but you have to admit, Tomorrowland kind of stank.
It stank, but he had
vision. He had vision.
The story, okay, from those trailers, Tomorrowland had a great premise. Like, I was awed by every single one of those trailers. The movie not as well, but I still like his vision for his movies. I'll give you that. Number 8, Sam Raimi. Yes. The king of the Spider-Man movies. I don't care if you want to say, Mark Webb or whoever the new guy is. Sam Raimi, guys.
Oh, yeah.
He made a great trilogy, including that third one. And all of his other films, he's a certain director that hits great with like action and horror, but also great comedy. Like, his comedy is so point, and no one ever talks about it. His writing and his directing is flawless. His movies are fantastic. And hopefully he'll make a movie soon. Like, it's been a little while to be getting a great Sam Raimi film.
I keep hearing like certain things are in the works, but then nothing comes to fruition. So
I know.
Come on, man.
He really hasn't done a lot. Like,
Oz the Great and Powerful, and that wasn't too stunning either.
No. I don't know why he ever took that project. I liked Oz when it came out, but then when I was younger, I don't really like it. It's hard to sit through, honestly. CGI is actually
a lot of the humor is pretty cringe.
Yeah. So but. Like I said, the Spider-Man trilogy is one of my favorite trilogies of all time. You just can't. You gotta respect the man.
Stuff.
Number 7 is my favorite Pixar god. I will say, Pete Docter. Now I do want to say this.
Give you a little connection.
I've said this before, but my mom, went to school with Pete Docter in college. Just during their first year. My mom does not remember him, but it is proven. I will show yearbooks maybe sometime on this channel. But they did go to school together, so he did grow up just one city away from us. So that's pretty cool. And my favorite Pixar films do come from him. I love Inside Out, I love Up, and I love Monsters, Inc. And I think he's the best director in animation, in my personal opinion. And the personal connection does really add to it. So that's Pete Docter for you, number 7. Number 6, which might be a little bit controversial, but I'm ready to say it. M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I was considering putting this guy in there.
One of my favorite genres is suspense and thriller and that kind of esque. Just really suspense and stuff. He does it so well. I will say I've not seen his bad movies, like his really bad movies. Yeah. So that's why he's probably on my list. But the movies he does right are so good, in my personal opinion.
Very strong. Yeah.
That I think he is incredible. I love The Sixth Sense. I love Signs. I love Unbreakable.
Village. Did you see Village?
I have not seen Village yet. That's on the list.
Lady in the Water is also pretty underrated, but After Earth, do not watch that.
No. Yeah.
That's not even his movie.
Or Last Airbender or any of those.
Both terrible. Yeah.
But then like Split's great too.
Yeah. Amazing.
I haven't seen The Visit yet, but
I haven't either.
I think he just does suspense so well. I mean, Split from this year, he gets you right in, sucks you right into his stories. They're so original, so different. You're always waiting for that twist. Every time his name's on something, I know not as of recent, you're just so excited for it.
His name's associated with twist.
It is, and I love it. And he does inspire me as a director. And that's kind of what this list is. It does kind of take bits and pieces of what I want to be as a director.
Exactly.
Maybe they're not the best directors of all time, but these are the guys that resonate with me.
I would almost say Jon Favreau is more controversial than this, though. You never hear any like. A lot of people don't like him, surprisingly.
Yeah, it's true. A lot of people don't, and I think M. Night Shyamalan is just because he's made so many bad movies. That makes sense. Where Jon Favreau's made good movies, he's just not like a big name. So, my list, guys. This is not. If this was top 10 best directors of all time, they're a whole different story. This is just mine. Number 5. My favorite comedy director, Wes Anderson. I love Wes Anderson's style. I think his writing and his directing is some of the best in Hollywood and the most underrated. He just nails comedy so well. If you watch, I just rewatched Fantastic Mr. Fox recently. It's fantastic. In all honesty, Grand Budapest Hotel, just perfect. Moonrise Kingdom, it's weird. All of his movies are weird and odd, but that what makes them great.
It is.
And just list them all off. All of his films are great. And I love that he has always Bill Murray, one of my favorite actors in there.
Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou does not get enough love.
Yeah, that movie is very... people either love it or hate it.
Did you finally watch it?
I have not seen it yet. Yeah.
It's underrated, though.
Yeah, people really like that one. But yeah, I love Wes Anderson. I love his style. And yeah, he seems like a weird guy too, so I don't know. I love it.
He's from Texas, surprisingly. Like, you wouldn't think.
Yeah, he has Owen Wilson in his gang, and I just love the guys he gets. Like all my favorite actors are basically in his gang of people he gets, like Jeff Goldblum, Owen Wilson, Bill Murray.
Yeah.
He just finds the best guys. Number 4, I think one of the most underrated directors of all time, because no one ever talks about him, Robert Zemeckis. No one ever talks about him ever.
It's kind of sad.
And he's so many good movies.
I think it's because his movies have kind of surpassed him and become more popular than his name. Like
he doesn't seem like
people, like everyone knows Forrest Gump, everyone knows Back to the Future. So those are so popular that they almost don't even care about who made it like anymore. It's just the quotes and all the things that happen in the film.
And I was thinking about that. I know why he's so unheard of. It's because he doesn't have a style. He has no style. You know a Tim Burton film. You know a Spielberg film. You know a Jackson film. You know a Scorsese film. But you never know if it's Zemeckis because
he changes it all the time for his different movies. Yeah.
There's no certain tone or anything. I love all of his movies. Back to the Future, Forrest Gump, Polar Express. Even think A Christmas Carol is pretty underrated. Castaway is fantastic. If you just go down his list, he's made so many movies. Like he made that one, that one, that one. You don't even know he directed some of these movies, and they're all like. Mostly all fantastic. I mean, there's a few in the line, but I think he's great. He made some of my favorite movies of all time, so I'm gonna give him a shout out for that. Number 3, Tim Burton.
Right.
I love his style. A lot of these guys in here, I just love their style. Tim Burton makes some of the weirdest movies, but I love them. Like Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Batman, Beetlejuice. Nightmare Before Christmas. I know that's not his directing, but that is his style. That was him. He created the story and the visuals and all that. So that I'm giving it that it's a Tim Burton feeling film. I like Corpse Bride. Frankenweenie's also pretty underrated.
Too many people don't like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory either. I like that movie.
I'm not a big fan of that movie. That's
really?
one of the ones I don't really like. That and Alice in Wonderland, I would say is his
Okay, I don't like that one.
Mars Attacks is also really funny.
I love Mars Attacks.
So yeah, I love Tim Burton. He's so weird, but it's what makes him great. And his mix of Danny Elfman, even better. Number 2, Christopher Nolan. Most epic director ever. Just saying. I think this guy in 10 years will be considered, if he's not considered yet, the next Spielberg, Scorsese, or Tarantino. I think if he can keep it up, he's gonna be in that line of like the 5 best directors of all time. I really do. He hasn't made a bad film. All of his films are very epic, very good. He knows how to tell a story. He knows how to tell something unique, do a different vision than most directors have done. I think he's brilliant, and I think more and more I've liked him as it goes on. With Dunkirk recently, my favorite Interstellar. You get Inception, which is just who knows what's going on, but it's fantastic. And you can all the Dark Knight movies, Memento, Prestige. I mean, they're all of them are good. So yeah, Christopher Nolan is my second favorite director. And number 1, you know it already, Spielberg. The man is a legend. You don't need to say anything else about that. He has made probably the most of my favorite. If you did a list of top 100 favorite movies of all time, he probably hits most of them. Because, I mean, between Indiana Jones, and Jurassic Park, and Jaws, and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, you just keep spurting out every classic. Every classic was him. And he knows himself. E.T., that's another one I really like. Even like The Terminal I enjoyed. I mean, even his lower quality ones I enjoy. Not Lincoln. I don't really enjoy Lincoln. It's a great movie.
BFG.
I enjoyed the BFG. Yeah. Lower end though. War Horse I think was like most bland movie. I'll be honest, that one he wasn't feeling it. But Adventures of Tintin, very underrated as well.
Movie. Very good movie. I do like Bridge of Spies quite a bit too.
Bridge of Spies was also pretty underrated, even though it went up for an Oscar, but no one really seemed to like that one. What am I missing? He's made a lot. I'm missing some. I know all the war movies he's done. He's done
Saving Private Ryan.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, Steven Spielberg is number uno.
Okay, so that was Andrew's list. Very good list, sir.
Thank you.
Full of artists that I can definitely relate, or not relate to, but be inspired by and can admire and love their work. But I'd say only a couple of them actually did make my list.
I do want to throw something in there quick before you start your list. Yes. You might be asking yourself, where's Scorsese? Where's Tarantino? Where's this guy? Where's that guy? In all honesty, I'm gonna be very honest with you guys. I've barely seen any of their movies. Reason because I mean, your parents might be all different. Everyone's parents are different, but I'm only 16. It's just kind of starting to get into those deeper, hard-rated R movies. In all honesty, I just started being able to watch a lot of these movies. I mean, when I was like 13 or 12, I really wanted to see all these Tarantino movies, but I mean, Pulp Fiction, all these. My parents weren't as nice, so that's why they're not on this list. I just haven't seen their films as much, and this is the guys I've seen the most of. So there you go.
And that's fine. They're all like, doesn't matter. Like, you know, a lot of those guys are the everyone like all that make the list, but you have people who can rival those guys the same way. Like
exactly.
There's really no difference. They're all great. They all have their own styles, and I mean, I think your list might not even change. Like, if you love them this much, I mean,
I know.
Yeah, it's just the way it is.
Exactly. True.
Okay, so I'm gonna dive into my honorable mentions. I have 4. You did 3, but I have 4. Just I'll go over a little quicker.
Sure, no problem.
So first, I want to mention Christopher McQuarrie. I think this guy is terrific, and he's been in the business for about 20 plus years, he's only directed 3 movies. All of them are great, but as a filmmaker and he's had a lot of writing.
Yeah.
Sadly, he wrote The Mummy. Not much to pride on there, but the man I think is extremely talented, and his movie The Way of the Gun was a big inspiration for me this year with my Gwiff movie. The Usual Suspects is terrific. He wrote that movie, but Bryan Singer directed. Jack Reacher, I love that movie to pieces. A lot of people really don't, but Jack Reacher I think is terrific.
I like that movie.
And Mission Impossible Rogue Nation is in the top of the top of the best Mission Impossible. You know what I'm trying to say.
One of the best Mission
Impossible films. It's not my favorite, but it is great, and I can't wait to see what he does with the 6th one. But I think he's an artist, and he's a terrific writer. He knows how to do story very well.
Oh yeah, I did forget about him. He wouldn't have made my list, but I kind of forgot about him. He is kind of forgettable, but he knows his stuff.
Yeah, but that's why he's an honorable mention. Tony Scott is another honorable mention. He's not with us anymore in the land of the living, sadly. Mm-hmm. But he's kind of like the underrated brother of Ridley Scott. Everyone knows Ridley Scott.
No one knows.
But Tony Scott is definitely an artist in his own right, and I think he has a much stronger visual style, and he knows exactly what he wants from his films. Ridley Scott is kind of all over the place, but I don't want to just compare these two, because Tony Scott is his own artist, and some of his movies have kind of created like the action genre as to what it is today. Michael Bay wishes he was Tony Scott, because if you look at Michael Bay's films, they have the same style, like same look as a Ridley Scott film, except way less quality. Tony Scott's movies have all great characters, all like great editing, great action sequences. Top Gun, I do like that movie, but it's not my favorite. I love Enemy of the State. He directed True Romance, which is written by Tarantino, and then he also did Days of Thunder, but not that great. But The Last Boy Scout. That's what I was thinking of with Bruce Willis. That's a great movie, and he's a very underrated, talented man. I wish he was still making films. Next is John Carpenter. I love this guy. He's totally an icon of the horror genre. He made it what it is today. Halloween is probably the most influential behind Psycho of horror films. And this man really can just bounce around different genres and do them all terrifically well. But he has that carrying over style, like between movies like Halloween or even Big Trouble in Little China, which is in my top 3 of all time, that you can see the similar style. It's a very distinct thing. He writes his own scores. I love synth music, and he just really knows how to make something intense and enjoyable and entertaining, all wrapped into one great ball of popcorn.
That's what makes him unique, is his ability to score something as well.
Yes. So my final honorable mention is Steven Soderbergh, and this is kind of a recent love that I picked up. After seeing Logan Lucky, then I kind of went back. I had already seen movies prior to that, like I've seen the Ocean's movies, I've seen Contagion, and then just recently I saw Traffic. And this guy is just really one of the most unique filmmakers today, and he has been for the last 30 years. He's very... he has definitely his own style. He does not want to do what people tell him to do. He doesn't want to be stuck in one category. He can do indie movies that are weird and make no sense, and he can do the most mainstream thing ever. He just makes what he wants to make, and that's what is extremely admirable about him. He even is humble enough to not always take credit for his writing or his cinematography, but he does a lot of his work himself. He's an auteur, as they call him. Yes. Does all the work himself, and he's a genius. I can't wait to see what he does next. Hopefully he does not retire again like he said he would.
Yeah.
Now into the real show. Number 10 is Sir Christopher Nolan. I don't know if he's American or British. We're still figuring it out.
Yeah, I feel like he's American, but he seems British.
Yeah. But yeah, he wrapped it up pretty well. He's a genius. I think all of his movies are strong pieces of art. The best thing I can say about them is visually, and just the way they're structured is probably the strongest element about them. But if I were to have one qualm about him, is that I don't think all of his movies have that much heart. They're kind of cold at times.
Yep, I will agree with that. I cannot really pick one that has heart.
He doesn't, he's never just seems that enthused, like in interviews he's very got the scarf on, he's like,
he's a scarf guy.
Yes, my feeling, he's just, come on. I mean, you can tell he's passionate, he definitely is, but just, not all of his movies are definitely resonant. I think his 2 most resonant are Interstellar and Batman Begins. Those are both very, not relatable, but very emotional films.
He just has a vision, and he knows what he's doing. I don't think, like you said, because him being really compact and not really expressive, I think that's not what I want to be as a director. Yeah. But just what he puts on the screen, you gotta love the man.
Oh yeah, I do, I definitely do. But The Prestige, amazing film.
No one talks about it.
Remember that. Just remember I said that. Oh boy. Okay. Next, number 9 is Sam Raimi.
Ooh yeah.
Yeah,
he's both have the same 9, I think.
Okay, yeah, I didn't even notice that. But he's a master of visual storytelling. He's got this very distinct editing style, and he does a lot of zooms, a lot of crazy comedy and mixing horror and genre, comedy and horror and romance. He does it all. Just the Evil Dead movies just really showed his talent, and then he just brought that and evolved it into more different things. Like Spider-Man took elements from that and then brought in new things like emotional characters and whatever, because Evil Dead doesn't have any of that. But he's someone who really knows what he's doing. I like his dark, weird style. And his collaborations with Danny Elfman, not unlike Tim Burton. I'm a big fan of the guy, and I really want to see him do something else.
Yes.
Number 8 is Quentin Tarantino. I love this man's works. They're all entertaining. They're all like over 3 hours, a lot of them.
Yeah, really.
But they're all extremely entertaining, and that's because of the way he writes characters and situations. He knows how to draw them out, but also make them very, very rich in the drama and dialogue. That's definitely his main strength, is just characters, because they're all intriguing, they're all fascinating. He always gets the right actors to do it. And then he always has this, his own unique style of picking music and blood spurts and all that stuff. He's got his very own unique brand. But once again, I have a small problem with him, and that's that he doesn't always do his own thing. He does a lot of collaging of directors of previous works of old films that he was a fan of as a kid. So if he could be more innovative, but he does it to such a degree that it's fine to rip off other filmmakers, because I think he makes it his own in his own unique way. He is a true artist and a visionary.
Yeah, that's the thing about Tarantino. I think I'm glad you mentioned that. You gotta respect the man. He makes some of the best movies of all time. But if you do watch his interviews, every time he's pressing one of his new movies, he always brings up like 6 or 7 French films that
It's like, did you get this reference? This shot right here is supposed to look like that. Okay, from 1981. All right.
Yeah.
Like that's.
So I think he does take a lot of elements from other movies. I think he always does something different. I know those movies are not like you want to be copy for copy, but I think you're right about that. That he does do a lot of similar things. He does. I don't know if I wouldn't say he takes risks, but every movie he makes is brilliantly made, and you gotta give it to him. What's your favorite Quentin Tarantino movie?
Most people would say Pulp Fiction or go with any of his earlier 90s work. I kind of disagree. I think The Hateful Eight is my favorite film of his.
Very underrated.
It has very strong characters, very strong dialogue. The whole movie takes place in a little cabin, but the whole movie's entertaining, and I can't stress that enough. Pulp Fiction's great. I just don't connect with it as much as Hateful Eight. I think his worst movie might be Kill Bill. Jackie Brown, people always say that is the worst, but I think that's actually a great film.
Have you seen the second Kill Bill?
I've only seen the first Kill Bill.
Okay, I would think probably the second one I've heard is worse, but
I don't know.
I haven't seen them.
Have you actually heard that?
I've heard just from a few people. I've heard like Kill Bill isn't like being buzzworthy right now, but I've just heard from people that normally people like the first one more than the second one.
Okay.
I mean, I haven't seen it, so.
But yeah, I've seen all of his movies except Kill Bill Volume 2, that's it. And Death Proof. I haven't seen Death Proof. But I can say I've thoroughly enjoyed all of his films. 7 on my list is Alfred Hitchcock, the master of suspense. Yes, this man basically started every type of modern filmmaking that you see today. If it weren't for him, we wouldn't have this. We wouldn't have the same filmmakers we have now.
That's
we wouldn't
true.
have the same movies.
That's true.
All of his movies are of great influence, especially Psycho. That's the one that everyone goes back to and says that one, because it kind of revolutionized what they did with sex and with violence in movies. From there on out, they kind of were not afraid to just put it out there anymore, even though that movie doesn't have much of either. I would say that his earlier works from the 20s to the 40s are a little weaker. I think his 50s era, that is his strong suit. That's where he had all his masterpieces, one after another, all great. But To Catch a Thief is a very weak film, I'll say that. But all of his other movies I've really enjoyed. He can really take a situation and make it intense. His works with Bernard Herrmann, one of the best composers of all time. Always worked with him, always made great, mysterious, suspenseful, and romantic tracks on their scores. I just think that the man gets a little too much respect, but also not enough by today's moviegoers. I think more people need to show some love to the man for his great stuff. Number 6 is James Cameron. This guy, every single one of his movies is great. He's only had 6, I think.
He doesn't make movies often.
No, but that's because he works so incredibly hard on each one to make them as good as he can. Terminator, if you look at that movie now, it's kind of dated, it's kind of cheap, but he really evolved himself over time. I love Aliens. The Abyss is very underrated, and that's my favorite Cameron movie, The Abyss. True Lies still needs to get a Blu-ray release, and I'm really looking forward to that. All of his movies are terrific. Titanic's a little bit, I don't know.
I've come to rewatch Titanic.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah,
I just don't think it's like
it's better. It's better on a visual level.
It is
than on any other.
I think that's kind of the same thing with Avatar. It's just the visual level you're there for. He does have a lot of hard work.
He's gotten a bit pretentious over the years, I think.
That's what takes me off about him.
Yeah,
just like, come on, make it.
Yeah, but just all of his movies have that intensity to them, that passion, and just a great sense of entertainment about all of them. Not a single one really fails to entertain me or enthrall me. You have something to add?
Oh, no.
Okay.
Just
number 5 is, of course, Steven Spielberg. This man has down to a T how to make a film. He has the exact list of requirements of how to do it. He has the basic essence of what makes cinema, and all of his movies are basically perfect, except for those select few that we mentioned off.
I think all of his movies are good, but some of them are just not as well done. I'd say Lincoln is a really well made film. It's kind of boring. Wars, well made film. Really boring. So
I think the last time I felt some real passion from the guy was War of the Worlds. Since then he's kind of been on autopilot just a little bit. But let's see if Ready Player One can
I
really
hope so. I really hope so.
Yeah, but going back in time, I just remember Raiders of the Lost Ark being one of the first movies to really just get me going on filmmaking and really get me going on the craft, and I just really loved that movie as a kid. And then my dad showed me Close Encounters and Jaws, and then down there I just kind of explored off on my own and saw that the man was a genius artist, and he can really balance art and commerciality, which I think that's still a made-up word, but I've used it in a couple of videos now.
I will take it.
Yeah, but Steven Spielberg, of course, that man, come on, he's easily one of the best of all time. I mean, he probably is the best, but he's not my favorite. I'm not going to say that. Number 4? 4. Tim Burton.
Yes.
I love the man as an artist and as a director. Yes, he's weird, but all of his movies I've enjoyed thoroughly. There's not a single problem with them. You'd think that just his weird, dark, and quirky worlds would just get tiresome and wouldn't really transition into a good film, but no, he always makes characters that are heartfelt and entertaining and relatable despite the fantastical surroundings that they're in. Growing up, I always watched Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Batman. Those were the 2 Tim Burton movies I knew for the longest time. I saw Charlie and the Chocolate Factory in theaters. I still like that movie. A lot of people don't. But I just think he really knows how to make a piece of art that's distinctly his. I do like his style, but he also has variety. He can do a lot. Big Fish is quite different from his other movies, and so is Big Eyes. Yeah,
he does different things. If you see this guy in the interview, he's so weird. Like he's a weird guy.
He's always got the sunglasses on and
the hair all messed up.
My film, yes. I'm gonna go work with Johnny again soon, and
yeah, and then he's always doing these weird hand symbols and just watch his interviews.
I don't know what his obsession is with pale makeup though. I don't know what's going on there, buddy. Maybe you have a bit of a fetish.
And also, this is seriously. Look at his house. Have you ever seen his house?
It's all he doesn't have the blinds up. It's all black, right?
Because I first noticed it when I watched John Schnepp's.
Oh yeah,
I watched Superman's Lives.
I watched that too. Yeah.
And when he interviews him in his house is literally from
Victorian era.
What's the Johnny Depp one?
Dark Shadows.
Dark. It looks like the Dark Shadows house.
Yeah.
Super dark. Or like the one from Guillermo del Toro,
Crimson Peak.
Yeah, it looks like that.
It does.
It's so.
I wouldn't feel very comfortable there.
I would not. He doesn't. Yeah, but I love him.
Well, there's probably lots of sharp stuff everywhere too. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Tim Burton, man, one of the best of the best. Didn't you write a letter to him back in the day, Tim Burton? I wrote a letter to Steven Spielberg.
I was going to,
4th grade.
but I didn't.
Oh, you didn't?
No, I didn't.
Okay.
I couldn't find his address.
And of course, I didn't get a reply from Steven Spielberg either.
You'll mention that to him once we get up in the big games, you know?
Right, yes. Okay, number 3, the big guns. Martin Scorsese. I love this guy so much. He has a very, very unique style to himself. All of his movies have this like very like intense passion about them. They're very fast, furious. They're moving quick, and there's lots of things going on, but they're never. It has everything you need in a film. I love The Departed so much. That's the one of his movies that no one really talks about. Everyone talks about Goodfellas. Everyone talks about
Goodfellas. Everyone talks
I'll be honest. I don't even really like Taxi Driver that much. I couldn't really connect to it. I didn't think it was that stunning. The King of Comedy is great. Shutter Island's great. Goodfellas is pretty great. I love that. But The Departed is my favorite Scorsese, and I'm really, really excited to see The Irishman that they're filming now for Netflix, which is kind of sad. But
I have my I know it's Scorsese, but there's always that speculation because Netflix movies, you can say what you want, they really haven't been that good.
Yeah. Okay, number 2 on my list is Brian De Palma. This is a guy who's extremely underrated in the business. No one cares about him at all. Andrew's cracking up because we already filmed this once.
We've already filmed this video, and we're just trying to get through it again.
The camera cut off.
We're so tired.
Yeah. Okay, Brian De Palma. I went into this very in depth the first time around. I promise you, I did.
You should just tell him.
What? Okay, so he's very underrated. Great movies. He's good at suspense, horror, crime movies. I think he's got a great visual style. Lots of good camera angles and suspense. He's good at putting like there's always a shot he has where there's an actor in the foreground and then the action's going on in the background. I think that's really interesting and very cool. Brian De Palma, that's number 2. I don't want to go on for another comments about it. So
seriously, this is school for us.
Yeah, I got crap to do. Number 1 is David Fincher. He's great.
We'll throw on a title card and we're copping out.
Yeah, no, okay, he's great. All his movies are really intense, realistic, gritty. I like that he has this cool visual style. He's good at color grading. All of his movies are masterclass in color grading and film editing and camera cinematography. He always gets good actors for his projects. He always has good projects. I love The Game. I love The Social Network. Can't wait to see what he does next.
It's so passionate about.
I really did go in depth about it the first time, but I went so far that I'm like wiped now. So
yeah, you're just starting going for it. Now we're just like, subscribe to your stuff. Bye.